Hey there, everybody. PTPOP here with all four lobes of my brain securely bound behind my back. And welcome back to another episode of PTPOP, Call Center Survivor. Welcome, all you sexy call center survivors. Each and every one of you is my hero. Because we've been in the trenches together, my friend, haven't we? We've seen it all. And I've gotten to talk to you over the years from around the world. So many of you know the struggles of the call center and what it's like working in the call center. And today's going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to it. I am excited about today because one of my viewers, by the name of Monsieur, well, I don't know if he's French or not, but David Lifer 9369 recommended this idea. And he said to me, hey, why don't you do a review of the new HBO Docuseries Telemarketers? And I was like, what is he talking about? Yeah, I had no idea what he's talking about. What is this movie, Telemarketers? And I actually just finished watching it this afternoon. My wife and I watched it. And so I'm going to talk about this documentary about telemarketers, and there's just so many emotions I felt when I watched this film. And it's first of all, it's a great film. It's a great documentary. If you have HBO, watch it. It's a 3-part series. I think each part is about 50 minutes long. There's no, obviously there's no commercials, and it's a great little documentary that, it's a documentary that follows two people, a guy named Sam Lipman-Stern and his friend and colleague Patrick J. Pespis. And Patrick J. Pespis is this awesome guy. I just fell in love with this guy, so to speak. He's somebody you just automatically like. But Sam and Patrick go on this journey that begins with them working as telemarketers and call centers for a company called the Civic Development Group, which is a really shady fundraising company. And I have worked for a fundraising company, though I don't know if it was shady or not. I worked for a company called Arts Marketing, which I called on people to raise money for the Cleveland Orchestra. And as far as I know, it was legitimate because I guess it was. I mean, they brought in Franz Welsermost and Christoph von Ducknani into our call center to meet with us, who were the conductors at the time. I don't know if which one is still around. One of them is still their conductor. And, the conductor, they brought in like a cellist one day. I guess that was supposed to impress us. Though most of the people, in my call center were like, hello, Christoph von, okay, yeah. Oh, he's a rock star, isn't he? They were kind of like that. Those kind of, not all of them. Some of them. And Kevin, I know Kevin's watching. My friend Kevin, who I have not seen in 10 years, even though I moved back and saw him 10 years ago. Kevin, we'll get together again sometime. I don't know when. I don't see many people anymore, Kevin. I'm kind of reclusive. But Kevin worked with me, one of my friends. Kevin worked with me at Arts Marketing. And maybe you can leave a comment here, Kevin, let me know if that was a legitimate company. But it was some shady people coming in and out of there. There was one guy in my call center that was Hispanic, and we had no Hispanic or Spanish leads. There were no leads into the Hispanic community around Cleveland or around the country. And this young man would come and get on the phones, and he'd talk the whole night in Spanish. Well, this is 20 years ago. This is this is 2021. So this is 2021, and we had a little phone room. It was maybe no bigger than this room. This room's maybe, I don't know, 15 by 20. And he would get on the phone and talk in Spanish all night. And see, we had these old push-button phones. They were just push-button phones. It was just, dial, and you'd manually dial. So he would dial this number and get on the phone and talk all night in Spanish. It turns out he was calling Puerto Rico, where his family was from, and he was talking to his relatives all night on the phone instead of doing his job. And the supervisor found out and canned him. pretty much on the spot, but it took a while for our supervisor, Howard, to figure it out. I didn't notice. I got to introduce you to a new member of the family. This is, I haven't given him a name yet. I have a fetish for aliens, so if there's any women out there that want to meet me some night and dress in an alien suit, have a great time. I don't know. I bought this online because I have a thing for gnomes and aliens. So this is one of my new aliens. I don't know. I have a name for him. I have Sven out in my gnome garden back here. Let me put him back here. Alien. But anyway, so this film, there's George Harrison. I don't know if I've introduced you all to George. This is a Beetle doll from the 1964. My friend's mother, Susan, had this doll, and she had given it to my friend Tim, and Tim had it, near his record player when I was in high school, and I bugged the crap out of him, and finally he gave me the doll, and I've hung on to it all these years. Thanks, Tim, for watching. I know I every now and then talk to your brother on Instagram or Facebook or something. So I digress. So this film documents these two gentlemen's journey working this in this call center. It's a real shady fundraising call center. They raise funds for like the Federation of Police and the FOP. Is that what it's called, the FOP? FOP is the Fraternal Order of Police. I'm sorry, Federation of Police. Fraternal Order of Police. And they become extremely disillusioned when they discover that a lot of the money that they're raising isn't going to the police. It's going into the pockets of the owners of the company. So there's a huge investigation outside of this, and the company gets shut down. And these two guys, what they do is when they discover that most of the money they're raising is being pocketed by their owners of the company, they make it their mission to become whistleblowers in hopes of exposing the seedy and illegitimate practices of many of the fundraising organizations around the country. So these two guys, the movie starts off back, I think, in 2001. Something like that. They documented, somehow they had cameras on the floor of this call center, and they were videotaping things way back when. I think at first it was just for the fun of it. So let me first, before I go into my analysis or my summation, like I'm a college professor, let me summarize what we saw today. I'm going to play the trailer to the film. And the trailer is approximately 2 minutes long. Let me bring up the trailer here. And there we go. HBO original. Bring up my shining bald head here. There I am. Hello, my friends. Thank you. Let's play the trailer for you. Go from there.
Hey, what's up?
Where are we going into?
We're going into Civic Development Group, and what we do is we call up...
So Civic Development Group is the company they work for. And this is... Well, I'll let you watch. Just go ahead and watch.
...people and chisel them out of money.
Money on my motherfucking mind.
Patrick and I both work at this telemarketing place.
I was this 14-year-old kid making calls on behalf of charities.
It's like a big-ass cookout.
Get money at my motherfucking mouth.
I didn't think I was doing...
Look at that. They're having fun, everybody. Look at that. Playing baseball in the call center. Sorry, I'll stop. I'll let you watch it.
anything bad at all.
Now, Lisa, these families, they do need your support.
The business model is defrauding the most vulnerable in this country.
It was a big-time scam.
This is capitalism.
Get money.
We need to show the world what this place really does. The media and the government haven't been able to stop them, so now it's up to us.
We gotta take them down from the inside.
Money on my motherfucking mind.
Pat and I had vowed to expose the industry, and it seemed to be evolving into something bigger and weirder than ever.
Political action campaigns,
Robocalls,
Federal Trade Commission,
Congress.
This guy does not want to talk to us. So we figured we'd get something to eat.
Oh, there he is. See the food. Go, 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 go.
Get money. Regulating telemarketing is like regulating Somalian pirates.
Oh, it's true. It's just like regulating Somalian pirates. If you watch this film, nobody will do anything about these phony fundraising companies.
This can't be done.
You're like a whistleblower.
They don't want us here, bro.
Dude, let's just go, Sam.
There's no turning back.
They were calling, and the initials were cash, so they would tell you, make the check out to CASH. Wake up!
This is Patrick. This is the guy, Patrick. He's great, and you see him evolve through his life. It goes through a lot of changes because this covers, I think, 20 years, and he's a drug addict, and he wrestles with his addiction and things like that. So there's a couple of other subplots going on in the film.
All the coffee.
Money on my motherfucking mind.
So there you have it. There's the poster for the film. It's a great poster. And I think the thing that really strikes me about this film is the honesty and sincerity. I mean, look at this. This, let's go back to this. That's me. Sorry, I cut back to me. This is a real call center. This is what call centers really look like. I mean, dark, dreary, overhead, fluorescent lighting, just little tiny dark gray cubes. It's an awful, awful setting, and I really, 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 really nailed what it's really like to work in a call center. Let me show you some other things here that I wanted to point out as we go on to this. Some of the people that they show in this are really authentic people. Like this guy, Patrick, he's overweight, disheveled, doesn't look like he's bathed in weeks. I don't know, if he smells bad, but this is like the guys I sit next to in every single call center. They're not sexy, good-looking people. Like there he is again. He's a great guy. I mean, I am not. This is the other guy in the film, Sam. And let me see if they have any of the other settings here. Just the whole call center. Heavy-set black lady, guy just sloughing off. Everyone's heavy set, just goofing around, having fun. This is the epitome of a call center. This is what real call centers look like. This is actually what it's like to be in a call center. And when they portray it in these corporate recruiting videos, and if you're watching this and you're a young kid, like 20 years old, and you're thinking of going to work in a call center, watch this film. This film is the epitome of, this is identical to what working in a call center is like, not just telemarketing call centers. So let me talk about, I am very self-absorbed. I got to have two of me on the screen at all times. Let's get rid of me there. Mom always said I was wrapped up in myself. Oh, Pete, you're so wrapped up in yourself. My mom was a trip. She was a trip. So this film, first, how did I feel after I watched it? And I have to tell you, I felt frustrated. I felt deflated. I felt angry. And I felt those things because I've sat in that seat. I sat in those seats, and I sat next to those people, and I sat next to the people who are drug addicts and are struggling and trying to make ends meet. Because when these guys started working at this company, at the Civic Development Group, 20 years ago, they were only making $10 an hour. And $10 an hour even 20 years ago wasn't enough to make ends meet. And I've sat in those seats where I've struggled to make sales. I've worked in the storage business trying to make sales, and I've worked in fundraising to make sales, and I've worked in banking to make sales, and I've had the sales manager who takes us into meetings and says, I don't care if they tell you their house is on fire. I don't care if they tell you their mother just got raped and their father got murdered. You get as much money out of them as you can. That's literally what somebody said to us in a meeting. And I personally just, I'm not crazy about the human race, but I don't want to take advantage of them. I don't want to sit out there and try to gouge them out of money. And so I felt very frustrated and angry and deflated after I watched it, because I saw how this is really the truth. I mean, this is the truth. This is how many of these fundraising companies work. This is the reality behind it. And there's no getting around it. And nobody does anything about it. What you'll see through this film is they chase down all these people. They contact all these different groups in the government, and they go to Washington, D.C., and nobody wants to do anything because they don't want to mess with the police. Because most of these fundraising they do fundraising for the Fraternal Order of the Police. And the police, the police are the police. They seem to have a lot of power in this country, and they seem to do and say whatever they want to do. A lot of these guys and gals get away with it, and apparently they have a lot of pull in Washington. And see, what happens in this film is that these police have, the Fraternal Order of Police have hired these third-party telemarketing companies to raise funds for the FOP. And when they originally raised these funds, I think only 10% of the money that they were raising over the phone would go to the FOP. But they were making like $250 million a year in fundraising for the police. So they're getting 10% of $250 million or something like that, or 200, I don't know how much it was, a huge sum of money. So the money was supposed to go to like fallen police officers' families who had died on the job, or police that had gotten shot on the job and were now disabled, and they needed the money to continue to life to make ends meet. But it turned out the money would get to the FOP, but the FOP would spend the money on cruises and hookers and parties and lavish trips to Europe and stuff like that. So the money wasn't getting back to the police. It was totally abused. It was totally, they took advantage of it, and they just pocketed the money and had a good time. So I felt very angry because I've worked in situations where I wonder where the money was going, and I know how bad these call centers are. And you'll see in this film that he talks about, 90% of the people in the call center are felons that he worked alongside. Because you get out of prison, you can't find a job, nobody will hire you. So a lot of these guys and gals would get jobs at these telemarketing jobs, making $10 to $15 an hour, so they could at least have a job. And they would hire them. They didn't care about their background. They didn't care about what crimes they had done in the past, which I understand that, I'm not against felons getting jobs, but I'm just saying it just mirrors or it emphasizes what I've said in my other videos, that a lot of my videos have stated that a lot of the people you sit next to are not exactly, these are not college-educated people, clean-cut, without a record. A lot of the people I sat next to, while I don't know for a fact, a lot of them you kind of tell they were kind of up to something. Something else was going on, drugs or something on the side, or they were turning tricks. And I don't say that to be mean, but a lot of them seemed pretty shaky and crafty and shady type of people. So the film emphasizes everything I've said about call centers, or working as a telemarketer, or just an inbound CSR. And it made me upset because, it's a strange world we live in where well-meaning people go to have a job. They go and they take a job thinking that they're going to be in a good, secure place where they can make ends meet and they can have a steady place to go and make a living. And it's not the truth. And a lot of it's a lie. I mean, most of the recruitment for these call centers, whether they're allegedly legitimate call centers or not, will lie to you and say, you'll make a fortune. You'll come in and make a fortune. As I've said, you'll get promoted. You become the call center director. Most of that's baloney. You'll never make it much above a quality assurance rep or maybe a manager. You're not going to become GM of the company. You're not going to become director of the call center. They're bringing those directors in from outside. These are highly polished thinkers that are major yes men, yes women, stuff like that. So I say it's a good film. If you want to see a film, if you've ever questioned anything I've ever said in any of my videos, watch this film. Spend the extra few dollars to watch it, and it'll give you an absolute insider's view of what it's like to work in just a call center. Now, this is an illegitimate call center, but it doesn't matter. It's the same atmosphere in all call centers all around the country, and I've worked in of all sorts, shapes, and sizes and colors. And you will get an actual realistic view of what it's like to work in a call center and how deceptive they are. Now, they do not discuss training. There is no training. I mean, these guys that sold on the phone in this film were very cutthroat guys. They didn't give a shit if your house burned down. They didn't care if your cat just exploded and things like that. They absolutely did not care. And what they do is they just call and call and call. And they were the best sales reps on the phone. They probably made millions and millions of dollars, they said, for these two illegitimate owners who, you'll see in the film, they get, I guess, convicted but not sent to jail. They're fined like $19 million because of all the illegitimate practices they have fundraising. And at the same time, I was really envious of the guys that made this because it starts off 20 years ago where nobody cared if you had a camera in the studio, or not the studio, but if you didn't have a camera on the call center floor. Nobody cared about the stuff back then. So they were walking around with VHS camcorders, I guess, and videotaping what was going on in there. Because number one, they figured it out, they sussed it, and they realized it was all a scam, and they wanted to document it. But they didn't know it was going to be a documentary until a couple of years later. And I envied them because all the things I've seen, I wish I should contact these guys and say, hey, do you want to make another documentary about what it's like to work just in a regular call center? I don't know if it quite have the appeal. I don't know if there'd be as much dirt that you could uncover. You probably could, but you'd really have to be undercover. You'd have to have hidden cameras, and you'd have to do all kinds of things. And another thing this film uncovers is how impotent our government is and how our government is in bed with all the bad guys. And I'm not just talking about, Ukraine or China or things like that. They're in bed with everybody. I mean, if you want to buy off a politician, apparently you can do it. If you're a police officer, or you're not a police officer as just one single officer, but, Federation of Police, Federation. I keep saying Federation. Fraternal Order of Police wants to grease up a couple of congressmen or senators or whatever and say, hey, just let this go. Apparently, the police have a lot of power in this country. And it makes you sad because you realize that your government is nothing like you think it is. It's absolutely nothing like you think it is. And you'll see here when they get to meet this senator. So, overall, I would go see this film. Not go see it, but log into your HBO account. You're not going to go to a theater and see it, but it's on HBO. And I would go see it, especially if you've worked in the call center. You'll experience some of the same emotions that I felt watching it because there's something hinky going on in the, quote, legitimate call center. There's something very illegitimate going on in these call centers. And I'm not certain what it is. I've never been able to figure it out, but I certainly would like to find out. They lie to you in the interview. They lie to you in the recruitment process. They get you behind closed doors, and you're treated like absolute dog shit. And, people throughout my life over the last 20 years will say, well, hey, Pete, don't let it get you down. Or, can't be that bad. You don't know, you just hang in there. It'll get better. Now, it doesn't get better. And if you hang in there, you'll end up hanging yourself. You end up killing yourself. I mean, it's a depressing, deplorable atmosphere. Whether it's an illegitimate place that's depicted in this film, Civic Development Group, or if it's Wells Fargo, or if it's Bank of America, or if it's Verizon, or any of the places that you can work in a mega call center. And it doesn't matter if you work from home or you work in the big call center here. So I want to, again, thank David Leifer, 9369, for the idea, a phenomenal idea. I would like to ask each of you to think of your experiences and send them to me, either in the comments here on this video or some of my videos, or send them directly to me in an email. My email is skatingbearstudios@gmail.com. That's skatingbearstudios@gmail.com. And maybe somehow I can start a documentary based off of your experiences. If there's any one of you out there who would like to be on my YouTube show here, let me know that as well, and we'll do a Zoom call. And you can come up here and you can tell your story, and we will put it together. Me and that guy over there, Jeffy. That's my sound engineer, and right now he's got a guitar head up his ass. And I will put it together and we'll put it out there. But think of your ideas, and somehow maybe we can make a documentary out of this, and from beginning to end, and what it's like to get recruited and go through training and work in a call center and find out what it's really like. There's got to be a way to illustrate it. So, all right, everybody, I am PTPOP. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all are having a good Labor Day weekend, and I hope you have a safe weekend. And we're having the air show here in Cleveland. I think the Indians might be, or the Indians, whatever they call them now, the Guardians. And have a good day. Take care, and give me your ideas. Subscribe, punch the like button and subscribe button and all that stuff, and yada, yada, yada. Auf Wiedersehen, everyone. Bye-bye.
When love is something to you.